To interrupt the cluster record.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder. I have started. So let me quickly share that in the antenna slides, in the case of dB, you know that you actually ratio with your reference, and then you take logarithm and multiply by d 10 or 20 depending on uh, power or voltage. Uh, Now, in the case of antenna directivity, we actually already have the ratio with the reference in the expression. The reference here is the directivity of an isotropic antenna. What we have below is actually nothing but the directivity of the power, okay, uh, intensity, radiation intensity for an isotropic antenna, and in the numerator we have the radiation intensity for the particular antenna. So it is, we already have the ratio. So you just have to take the logarithm of this ratio and then multiply by 10 because it is power. Okay, so that will be, that is what we express as when you find, say, for antenna, if you find that it is 20 or 23 dB, you know that, is the, this is what we mean. Okay, you calculate, take the log and multiply 10, then you are getting that 20 or 23. But this, for antenna, when you use the term dB, there may be, it may be shown as dBi. Okay, well, the extra later with dB uh, does not, uh, it is just to express uh, what you have in the reference. Okay, um, for example, it can be dBm when you show some power, we taking the reference value as 1 milliwatt. Okay, if it is 1 watt, when you are expressing some power level for some location, then you will use dBW. Okay, so this way, the additional later with dB can be different depending on what you are using as the reference. Now, for antennas, people a lot of times use dBi actually to indicate that you are using the isotropic antenna radiation intensity as your reference. And that is what we have in the usual expression or what we have shared this morning. Okay, so it is nothing different when you see dBi, it is nothing different from what we have explained. Okay, it's the same. People just show, people just write down dBi. Okay, which is indicative of the isotope one. Okay, and uh, the second thing I wanted to mention is that this particular tool can simulate um, an LOS link only. Okay, so line of sight communication can be simulated, or its power intensity, and accordingly the data rate can be calculated. Uh, so we already know that for LOS antenna, if we what the factors which can affect our power reception, and so the data rate. We know that if the bandwidth is increased linearly, it should affect, right? If you think of data rate, then from our Shannon capacity, there should be a linear relationship. But this tool will give you results more practical. Okay, something. So what you'll definitely find some changes as you change the bandwidth. Secondly, the distance. As you change the distance between the transmitter and the receiver, we know that the uh, larger the distance, the lower will be the power reception. Okay, and so the data will also be affected adversely. And finally, the antenna directivity, as we have already mentioned, that if you, for LOS link, you just assume that the transmitter and the receiving antennas are facing each other and they are located at their both sides. Okay, so they are perfectly aligned on their both sides. Now, if you increase the directivity for your antennas, of course, I mean, your power reception will improve and it will affect equally on the transmitting and the receiving end. Okay, I will say discussed this morning. When you improve, increase your directivity, okay, either you do it on transmitting and receiving side, the reception will improve, and actually, I mean, the effect is exactly equal. Okay, between the two sides, because you are just focusing towards the direction. The better you focus, the better will be reception, and it affects equally on the two sides. So these things you will see, and Nafij will first demonstrate a project using the tool, and this tool can also uh, create a project or simulate a project in different parts of the world. Okay, considering the terrain properties over there. So Nafij will first simulate a project. I mean, in a with using an offline map. I mean, so for this part, it will work. Even if I'll request all the students to do the same steps on their computer. Okay, but if you cannot hurry, okay, I mean, if you try to actually follow uh, the steps fast, okay, okay, I mean, quickly, you try to do that so that it does not kill much time. uh, as soon as Nafis does something, you please try to do that. Now, in this part, when Nafis demonstrate a project with offline map, it is not necessary for you to stay connected to internet. Okay. And later, I will also show a project somewhere in the world. Okay. And so then we need to be connected to internet because the terrain properties for that particular area of the world will be downloaded. Okay, so we'll see if there are high terrain properties, I mean obstacles with buildings or whatever, obstacles between the transmitter and the receiver, then that will severely impact the communication. But if we can raise the tower heights and take the link above the obstacles, then of course we can uh, drastically improve the power reception and the data. So this particular tool is vigorous in the sense that it can give you the practical output, uh, or I mean the results you get here are very close to what you can expect practically. Okay, so now I mean with that introduction, I'll leave it to Nafiz, okay, who can of, of course better explain.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the great introduction regarding this tool and the necessary theory. So I will just directly go to the tool. So screen sharing. I hope all of you have it installed in your computer. So this one, right after the opening of the tool, you will see a window like this. And from here, you will select a new project. So as sir already mentioned, I actually used to work with the earlier version a lot. I mean, this version did not have this option of online maps. Okay, so as sir already mentioned, for the first part that I will be trying to show you, inshallah. For this one, you don't need the internet connectivity. Okay, so but for the later one, you need internet connectivity. So we are sticking with the default option, that is the offline map. So what we would do, as this tool basically facilitates us, I mean, without installing the components of the actual network, it tries to give us the idea of the link being created between the 2 points, between two network equipment. Actually, it helps us in proper planning, and it also minimizes the costing. Okay, so what we do, we try to put or install the network component here. You can say base station. So we are selecting one. Let's just name it something like P1, and let's make the uh, uh, height something like 30 meter. And you see here latitude and longitude. Giving us the option to precisely select the location of that network site. So we are just keeping it as it is, and just changing the antenna height as 30 meter, and we are just clicking OK. Then a point, you will see from the network site, a point P1 which we just created will be visible. But as we are thinking of creating a link, there should obviously be another network site. So we click on it once again. Please stop me if you are confused. Okay, so but these are like simple things. I don't think you would face any problem. So this network site, we are naming it as P2, and let's just make the height as something as 20 meter. And what we would try to do, we would try to uh, change their distance by a linear manner. And it has been found out mathematically that if we change the longitude by this margin, that is 0.0135, in that case, a difference between the 2 points that we are talking, a distance of 1.5 kilometer arises between them. Okay, so what we did for the earlier case, both latitude and longitude was 0 degree north, 0 degree east, and we are just changing the longitude for the second site by 0.0135 degree. Okay, so now we click OK. So now we have created 2 points, and you see there is an option for this is for the new PTP link. So if we create, it will show us the available network sites. So we are, as we are trying to establish a link, we just need to select.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Yes, sir, I audible, sir.
Okay, so now what we do, we just select these 2 points, available points that we already created. So, and after doing this, we just click OK, then a link will be established. Okay, so you see, we have a link established.
Sir,
between
can you repeat this part again? How
Yes,
to add,
sure.
like how to
So
come to this
you
window?
got the first part, right? How
Yes,
we
sir.
create from then from
Yes,
this icon, new PTP link at the top. If you click, then you will see a window. I don't know whether if I click, it will show again or not. It's already created, so it does not show anything. So you just need to select. Okay, then this window will appear. Is it okay now?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
hello,
Okay.
sir.
Yes.
I've been trying to call you, sir, for a long time, and my mic was not working, sir. Sir, for the
Yes.
points, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you kindly repeat the procedure for the points once more, sir?
Yes, sure.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, this is like the network site. So they have got an icon for this one. This
Yes, sir.
so here, if you click,
Yes.
it will show you a window.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know. So like this. So you can name this point.
Yes, sir.
You can change the height. You
Yes, sir.
can change the latitude and longitude for this point.
Okay, sir.
So let's say I am just keeping the latitude longitude unchanged for the first point,
Okay, sir.
and changing the height as 30 meters. For the
Okay, sir.
second point, I am changing the longitude. As I said, we have found it out that if we change the longitude by 0.0135 degree, in that case, there will be a distance between 2 points as 1.5 kilometer. So let's say we are trying to change the distance. So as sir already mentioned, our idea is what? We are just trying to see the link profile by changing certain parameters. Okay.
Okay,
So,
sir.
so distance is obviously one parameter, and we can expect that power level, throughput, and some other parameters will get changed as we change the distance. Okay. So
Yes.
uh, so for the time being, we create this two point and establish a link between them. The link is this P1 to P2 link. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So now you see that here there is a plot, and this plot, as we already created the uh, 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 height of this P1 as 30 meter and height of this P2 as 20 meter. And as we mentioned that that the latitude and by the change of longitude by 0.0135, we basically create a distance of 1.5 kilometer between them. So you see here 0 and here 1.5, which means that a distance of 1.5 kilometer has been established between them. This is the Fresnel zone. I don't know, maybe syllabus wise it goes more with the next course, the cellular communication course, but here it basically shows the different different link or different communication scope that can be established between these 2 points P1 to P2, and the strongest of these two of the many options available would be the straight line. Okay, so we will see the change in the Fresnel zone by change of certain parameter like the carrier frequency or the band at which we are working. Okay, and some other parameter. For the time being, you just assume or you just think or remember this way that it basically shows the a pattern of different link that can be established between two specific points. Okay, so all possible options, the plotted version of all possible options is shown in this graph. So now if we go downward, we will see there are some more tables. Small tables are there. It is a configuration at each end. That is the antenna types. What we will do, our tentative plan is that we will try to change the transmitting antenna type by change by. We mean here that by changing the antenna type, the gain will get changed, and we can expect that one can assume that as the gain gets changed, there will be a reflection in a certain parameter like the received power. We will get to see all those things. And alongside that, we see some other things like the bandwidth that we are allocating in this link. Okay, so we will also try to change the bandwidth, and we will see what is the reflection on the overall output parameters. Like you see here at the later table, there is like, it is like a performance summary. That is, we change different parameter, like what will be the receive, power now in both ends. Okay, so and what will be the throughput level and all those things will get changed, okay, step by step as we change different parameters. Okay, so actually, I don't know whether it would be a good idea or not. Sir, I have been taking lab courses with sir for like many years. So we have a, I mean, lab sheet based on this one. But the current version that I have, it is with the old syllabus. We have a, we had a course, radio frequency engineering, 4614. I have the, I am, guess sir also has the updated version of this one. So the step-by-step procedure that I will be showing, I assume if you have a like a PDF document, it will be easier for you to follow. Somehow, if the recorded version still does not help you, the PDF one would. So I guess it will be better, it will be beneficial for you to have this version. I have this one. If somehow sir does not have the most up-to-date version, I can share it with you. Okay, so here, let me start with the power level. So here you see, we can actually put a cap on the maximum power level. Okay, so here you see, before we are doing anything, the at the P2 end, receive power is shown as minus 38 dBm. Okay, so now here we are trying to change the maximum power level. Okay, so you see, from 27 dBm, as we change it to 18 dBm, so what change do you see? I mean, around 9 dBm of change. Earlier it was what, minus 38 dBm, right?
Yes, sir.
Now what do you see here? It has
The
got
gain
changed into,
has decreased.
So which parameter did you change, sir?
yes, you look at it. Here you see, when unchanged, when we have done no change here,
Yes.
the maximum power level is 27 dBm.
Yes,
But
sir.
there is an option, like it is like an exploration tool. You can do many things, and before doing the actual network implementation or network, implementation task, you
Yes, sir.
basically get to see what change will take place if you do such things. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
we are trying to change it from 27 dBm. It has got changed into 18 dBm. So you look at the receipt power level. So you see it has got changed from minus 38 dBm to what? Minus
Minus
47
47.
dBm, right? So there has been a change. Like a change of 9 dBm, a drop of 9 dBm. Now, you
Sir,
also, yes.
sir, isn't it like from P1, if I send less power, then the P2 side will receive lesser power?
Yes, that is what we are seeing here, right?
Yes, sir. It seems like that.
So it is like actually the controlling option that they have put here. It is like this. I mean, you do the controlling from this portion, and you see the reflection here in the performance summary part. Okay, so here you can actually change it at your own will. Like you make it 3 dBm, and you can see it at the later. Now you see it has moved from what? Earlier it was minus 38 dBm. Okay, and the maximum power option was 27 dBm. We have changed it into what? 3 dBm. Now what is the power level that you see here? Drop by 24 dBm, right?
Yes, sir.
And another thing you see, it is that you look at the throughput option also. When it is unchanged, the throughput level is around 452.23 Mbps. Okay, so for this picture for this scenario. But as we drop it by a significant margin, then you look at it, it has got dropped from 452 to 414 megabit per second. So what we
What
have
is the
seen,
throughput, sir? What is the meaning of throughput?
throughput, you can say the
Bit rate?
more or less like this, but it is more precise. I mean, like
Okay.
the net one, I mean, deducting all the
Losses and all.
all the other laws and other parameters which can have impact on
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So here now let me come to another parameter. So we started with what? We started with the power level, right? We tried decreasing the power level and we tried to see the change in the performance summary. Now, another thing is that there is another option like changing the antenna type. So you look at this portion, you will see there is a presence of drop down list here, and by default this antenna, that high gain integrated 23 dBi antenna, at the beginning sir already explained, and the different units, and then what do you actually understand from it. So the gain, it is in dBi, 23 dBi. So what we try to do before that, you look at the parameter level. So now you see from 23 dBi, we are selecting an antenna type which has higher gain. So it is high performance dual polar parabolic antenna with gain 29.1. Now what do you see? You see the earlier received power, which was minus 38 dBm, with the change of gain of around 6.1 dBm, and the received power level has got enhanced from minus 38 dBm. It got changed into minus 35 dBm. Okay, so that is another point. At the same time, you can see the effect. You can see the effect in terms of the maximum power. Okay, so you have the option. You can try changing it. Okay, so you see, as from earlier, by default maximum power for this antenna type was 25 dBm. As we try changing it and see changing it, switches to, it reverts to the earlier selected power level, which was 3 dBm. So the drop of 22 dBm. So from minus 35, it goes to minus 57 dBm. So I guess you understand this one. So this is about changing the antenna type. Okay. Now,
excuse me, can I interrupt a little bit?
yes, sir, sure.
Well, in the middle of the performance summary, it is also showing the data rate at the receiver. Now, for this particular case, we don't, as we see changes in the receive power out of different changes in our link, this data rate is not changing significantly. This is because it is we already have sort of saturated situation here. I mean, things are quite favorable already. Okay, so it is, but if we had a very long distance, okay, between the transmitter and the receiver, or we had some clutter between them, or I mean, there are some difficulties affecting the data rate significantly. Okay, then these sort of improvements in the link, say if you increase the directivity or gain of the antenna, or increase the power level, whatever you do, this would actually bring about significant changes in the data. For this particular case, we can see changes in the receive power, but the throughput is not changing significantly, just because of it is already okay. Even with the I mean, when the receive power is changing, even with the lower receive power, it is good enough for the, I mean, for almost the saturated level of data rate. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay,
Sir, I want
thanks a
small
lot.
question, sir. May I ask? Sir, this user limit, sir, when we are changing this is the input one, right, sir? Like the sending and power that we are tweaking here. Is it so?
Yeah, it is. You can see that the antenna gain is 29.1
Yes, sir.
and the power. Okay. In fact, we did not. We are yet to show what EIRP is. It is the power, transmit power, combined with the antenna gain. Okay, and in dB, you just have to add these two. So in the antenna has the gain 29.1, and when your power is 3 dBm, okay, dBm means you just calculate the if power. dBm actually has 1 watt power. Okay, when you take 1 watt and then if for dB calculation you use 1 milliwatt as the reference, okay, then you have 1000 divided by 1, so that if you uh, 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 oh, yeah, sorry, that is then 30. No, it is if no, sorry, it is even
Addition doesn't come to that.
yeah, sorry, one no, 1 watt is 30. Okay, so anyway, you when you calculate, I mean, you take some real power and with 1 milliwatt reference you do the ratio and then take logarithm, then you are getting 3. Okay, so this is the power that you are using for transmission,
So this is the
and this is
sending
the
end
antenna.
power, sir.
Yeah,
This is the
yeah,
sending end power. Yes, sir.
sending end power. So altogether you have EIRP 31.1.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
okay,
Sir, is
thank you.
EIRP something like an offset? I mean, like it will be like 31 plus 3 type.
No, the total 3 EIRP is 31.1. You are, yeah, I mean, your transmit power and your transmitting antenna gain. Okay, the total, I mean, EIRP is the combination of these two, transmit power and transmitting antenna gain. They together is 31.1. We are yet to define EIRP. Okay, I mean, if you take the real values, if you don't take dB values for transmitting power and transmitting antenna gain, then you just multiply these two. This is what is called EIRP. Transmitting power PT and transmitting antenna gain GT. You multiply them and this is called EIRP. But if you take dB values, then with logarithm, you know, the multiplications become summation. So then you have to just add the values. 29.1 plus 3. So the EIRP is 31.1. Okay. I think
Yes,
Nafis can continue.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir, for explaining the things in detail. Actually, in this way, the throughput variation thing is, I mean, somehow more clear to you. And as, I mean, for the time being, the one that we have come across, we have not changed the distance. So the explanation of sir, I mean, basically makes it clear. I mean, why the throughput level, I mean, the change in the throughput level is very narrow here. Okay, so what we started with changing the receive power from here, and later through the change in the antenna type, we have seen what will be the change in the receive power. Okay, so that is what we have seen from this part. Now let me go back to the earlier antenna type, that is with this 23 dB, and change some other parameter from here. So you see there is an option of bandwidth. By default, this bandwidth is 45 megahertz. So what we do, we have a drop down list from here. Let me drop it by a significant margin, say make it 20 megahertz from 45 megahertz. So what we can expect since the bandwidth has gone lower, we can expect to see certain change here. Like it should be in terms of throughput. Like if you are using a broadband line with like smaller bandwidth, you expect to get lower data rate from it, right? So here the throughput has got changed from it is like earlier 452 something. From here it has dropped to 200.72 Mbps. So it is like from 452 it is 200 Mbps, but earlier it was 45 megahertz, but it has changed from 45 megahertz to 20 megahertz. Okay, so that is the change that we experience by changing the bandwidth. Okay, so that is another thing or another parameter change. And because of this, what change that we see, uh, uh, we have just seen or experienced from here. Now, let me go to the one of the most significant parameters, which is the distance. So, how do we do that? As I said, this offline map feature gives us the option to change distance in like a very simple way. And as it is simple, it is very easy for us to see or to view. I mean, what is the change in the different parameter as we increase the distance? As I said, it is 1.5 kilometer. As we change the longitude by 0.0135 degree east. Okay, so let me change it by this margin. So P2, we want to change the location another 1.5 kilometer apart. So how do we do that? We just need to add another 0.0135 with it. So it is like doubling this margin. So as we double it, what will be the value? 0.027, right?
Yes, sir.
So we just change it to 0.027. So and click on apply. So now, if we look at the link, so you look at it, the height for transmitting and receiving, it is unchanged. What is the change? Change in the distance. It has changed into what? 3 kilometer from the earlier 1.5 kilometer. Now, for
So, sir, can you kindly repeat which parameter you changed?
yes,
sir?
sure.
Yes, sir. Kindly.
Actually, if I summarize from where I began,
Yes, sir.
actually we did not have anything. We just needed to create two sites. One is P1, another one is P2.
Yes, sir.
P1 as at the origin, I mean
Yes, sir.
0 latitude 0 degree north, longitude 0 degree east, and P2. We wanted it to be 1.5 kilometer apart from that of P1. So the
Yes, sir.
easiest way to do it is to change the longitude by a certain margin. So we did that by putting it at 0.0135. Okay. So
Okay.
now we will keep P1 unchanged and change P2. How do we do that? As we know that if we change the longitude by a certain margin, that is 0.0135,
Yes,
it
sir.
will change up by a certain margin, that is 1.5 kilometers. So we add another 0.0135 with the earlier 0.0135. That will change it to what? 0.027, the double
Yes.
of the initial margin. Okay, so
Yes.
as we do it, now let's check what is the change in the link. We already made
Sir,
a
sir, I cannot change it because it says that a path has attached, so you can't edit.
I don't know whether you clicked on the apply part. There is an apply portion. Did you click on it?
Sir, I don't have any apply option.
Then I don't know. There are various versions. I don't know whether you are using the most up to that version or not. I have been using this tool for like many years. There are like previous version with not so enhanced features. I don't know. Your version could be one of those ones. Could you please check your version? Is it the same 5.4.5?
No, sir. It's 4.9.
Yes, that might be the reason. I also experienced this one. There are certain version which does not have this apply and cancel option. As you put the value, it takes that value and it makes the change accordingly. So maybe your version is this one. So I suggest you that since we are covering it to everyone, you install that new version, okay? And don't worry, as with the permission of sir, we can provide you the soft copy available with us, which will help you if you cannot directly go with the recorded version. I guess in this way you won't face any difficulty if you practice once again. Okay, so you do it this way. So now we go to the link which shows it is have the distance of 3 kilometers. So and we change the bandwidth back to 45 megahertz. When we know, I mean, what was the earlier parameters. So you remember it was what minus 38 earlier when no parameter was changed. You remember that, right?
Yes, sir.
So now since we change the distance between the two sides from 1.5 kilometer to 3 kilometer, remember we are trying to explore whatever way possible. Okay, we know certain basic relationship between different parameters. One of the important ones is a distance. So we would like to change the distance from 1.5 kilometer to
3 kilometers.
yes, now 3 kilometer, but I would suggest you the soft copy that we have here. I mean, it has like some task at the end. So it says you go up to 12 kilometers. So I guess you can do that each time. If you want to change the or increase the distance by 1.5 kilometer, what do? You change the longitude by that margin 0.0135. Okay. So in this way, you can easily go up to 12 kilometer. And for each of the instance, you will see what? You will see the change in the received power level, right? And at this case also, I mean, you can change the maximum power. Okay, so if you do it, let me. I mean, you can. What I mean to say, you can explore. I mean, whatever way possible, and you can verify your understanding with the actual picture that you see from the tool. So yeah, that is the case with the distance of transmitter and receiver being 3 kilometers. So what you see, maybe a very little change. Maybe it was like 452 in the throughput. Very little change in the throughput as we increase the distance from 1.5 kilometer to 3 kilometers. Okay, so in the same way, just to show you that we can.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, on the graph, sir, that PTP links graph, sir.
Yes.
Your right side axis, the y-axis on the right side has 20, right, sir?
Yes.
This is
the
due
height.
to yes, sir, that is the height you set for P2, right, sir?
Yes.
Sir, in my version, sir, or in my task that I'm doing, sir, when I go to P2 and I select this one, sir, and I
Yes.
set it to 20, sir, it's
Yes.
somehow not registering it, sir. Is there any issue?
Okay, maybe then you have the problem that I faced this morning, and I consulted sir for this. There is like, I don't know whether sir already discussed this thing with you. Sir discussed with me over phone. The thing is that what I faced the similar thing. It was not changing. As
The
I
height,
changed
sir.
the height, it was not changing in this version.
Okay.
Please be careful about it. since we are covering this version 5.4.5, the most up-to-date version available as you register yourself. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so please download this version, and there is like some access token feature. Sir, describe it to me very well. You
Yes.
need to go to the Linkplanner website, and as you click on the download,
Tokens. Yes,
yes, after giving your email address,
Yes,
there is
sir.
like a token option.
Yes,
And
sir.
as you put that, give the token and a test profile or something like this,
Yes,
then
sir.
afterwards, if you do it, then it actually fixed my earlier problem. I don't know whether
Yes,
you
I have, sir,
followed the
done that,
process.
sir. I have followed that procedure, sir. Everything like
Then
that.
what you, I don't know whether it would fix your problem or not. In that case, I actually exited the tool,
Okay, sir.
opened it once again, then tried the same thing.
Okay, sir.
Did you
Okay,
do
sir.
it?
So now I'm doing it right now, sir. Okay. I'm
Okay.
trying to do it, sir.
I guess it will solve your issue. Thanks for raising the issue. But basically, when we cover one tool, these are some of the things that should be raised during the
Yes, sir.
demonstration
Sir,
process.
yes, sir. If
Otherwise,
I
some of you will still face the problems maybe after 1.5 weeks. Okay, so please raise this sort of issue. I myself faced the thing, and I actually called sir, and he actually guided me towards fixing the issue. Okay,
I
so please
deleted the
raise this sort of
PTP,
issue.
sir.
Yes.
I deleted the PTP link, sir, and I created it again. Now it works, sir.
Yes, yes, that is maybe it will also help some of you.
Yes.
Please follow the step that he just mentioned. Okay, now we covered certain things, and you can also try changing the carrier frequency and see the effect. Uh, Actually, we put it unchanged, but you can see what will be the effect. It's like now 5.8, and you look at the other things. That is so now as you change it to say something like 2.5. What change did you see? At first, you see the Fresnel zone, the possible uh, 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 patterns of connectivity between these 2 points. It has like more scope, something, more possible ways for the communication to be established between P1 and P2. Okay, so again,
Sir.
yes.
Sir, if the Fresnel zone increases, sir, is it actually good for us or bad?
I actually cannot straightforwardly answer your question. Maybe sir can highlight it. The thing is that the straightforward one is the most desired one. But as we know, the carrier frequency being changed, and the change in the carrier frequency will also affect on the reflection, refraction, diffraction, and some other properties. I mean, like carrier frequency being changed, the effect will no longer be same. Okay, so, and we know various networks work on different carrier frequency. Our Wi-Fi signal has certain carrier frequency. I mean, though there is like 2 bands for this Wi-Fi. Our cellular network works on certain carrier frequency. So I cannot straightforwardly answer. I mean, your question, what would be the most appropriate answer? But it is like situation specific. That is what I can say. But it is obvious that as we change the carrier frequency, reduce the carrier frequency, I mean, like it shows, or it gives the more possible ways of communication between these 2 sites, network sites. So that is the, I mean, like the most visible option that we see after changing the carrier frequency. So that is another thing, I mean, which is visible from here. So let me just put it back to this 5.8 gigahertz. Okay, so again, I mean, what we did, we actually changed it to, okay, so looks like I did not change it to 4.405, which I can do from here. 405. Click apply. So now P1 to P2, it basically creates a distance of 4.5 kilometer between P1 and P2. Okay, so you see it this way, that is the distance between P1 to P2 is 4.5 kilometer. So as we do it, and as we change the okay, looks like now it is not giving us the option to revert back to the earlier antenna type for certain reason. So we do it and we can see what is the received power. So I mean, you can compare with the earlier one. I actually forgot what was the power level for the distance being 3 kilometer. Obviously, it will be I mean lower, even more lower compared to the earlier one, since the distance has got increased. Okay, so that is the thing. In the same way, you
Sir,
can
how
change.
did you adjust the cambium network to 8 feet, sir?
Sorry, I could not hear you clearly.
Sir,
Could you please
yes, sir.
repeat?
Sorry, sir. Could you, sir, like scroll down a little bit?
Yes, sure.
Sir, I did this thing, that P1, sir, that
Yes.
cambium network, sir. This
Yes.
option, sir. Did you manually change this, or was it
No,
automatically?
no, there is like like an option. I mean, drop down list.
Yes,
So
sir.
from here we change it, but looks like when we change certain parameter, it is like adaptive. This is like an intelligent tool. I mean, and I mean, it is not giving you some unrealistic option. That is my observation. I did not
Okay.
go through this thing in detail. Looks like when you change the carrier frequency, it change it discards, it eliminates some of the options which are no longer appropriate for that specific carrier frequency. So as I changed it now, for certain reason, it does not give me the option to
Yes, sir.
go
Because
back to, yes.
when I make the changes that you do, I have
Yes.
something different on my screen, sir. It's like it's not
Yes,
similar.
yes. The thing is that maybe since there are like now many change, we have
Yes,
changed
sir.
the distance, we have changed the bandwidth, and most probably it tries to stick with the last change that we have made, and based on this, it tries to decide. Okay, so
So
does it? Yes. Please.
In the equipment part, sir, there is some other options, sir. For example, product and regulation, sir, and those do not match, like mine and yours. Like you have regulation of Australia, I have regulation of Argentina. But yes, sir, it's
I
like
don't know. I actually faced this in the online map version. In the online
Okay.
map version, that sir will likely cover, inshallah.
Yes, sir.
Here, there is an option like you select the continent. Though I selected North America, I don't know, somehow Argentina got selected.
Okay.
It looks like it somehow
Sir, yours
manages
one
to
was
select.
showing Argentina before, but now it is changed to Australia.
Sir.
Okay,
And my one is still Argentina, sir.
I don't know. In my case, while I was trying to explore the online map version, I mean, even though I was clicking somewhere in the US region, I don't know, there might be some other reasoning or explanation for this one. Okay, let us just stick with the basics.
Can I say something?
Yes, sure.
Looks like it depends on which football team you support.
Yes, sir.
Well, I have checked the manual. See, for the point-to-point link for different frequency ranges, there are different regulations in different countries. So this particular tool uses different regulations for different frequency ranges. So for PTP, certain frequencies, for PMP, certain frequencies. many different regulations are there. So they have just chosen different regulations of different countries for different frequency ranges, which frequencies are more common to those frequencies and to those countries. Okay, so the P2P frequency we have chosen here, okay, it comes below product. Okay, actually matches Australia or Argentina. Okay, but this table is available in the beginning of their manual. The manual is also already shared uh, in our Google Drive. Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, so,
Thank you,
thanks for
sir.
the explanation. That basically clarifies a few confusions in us. So now, since
Sir, এখানে
yes,
carrier frequency কোনটা?
this one, the band option under the equipment.
Okay,
You
sir.
see that is the drop down list. So initially it was 5.8 gigahertz, and from there we changed it to some very low carrier frequency, and we see certain change after we did it. Okay, some of the antenna options got eliminated from here. Okay, some change. So in my view, I mean, we are just trying to see. I mean, we are not into I mean, like understanding how they built up the tool and all those things, but what changes will take place and relating it with our knowledge. I mean, that is what looks to me as like more important things here.
Sir,
So yes,
sir, if the band is 5.8 gigahertz, I mean the carrier frequency, then how the bandwidth is actually 40 megahertz in the below?
yes, I mean, it is like by default, it is showing something as 40 megahertz, but we can try reducing it and see the thing that we have done earlier, like as we change the bandwidth, like you have taken a 5 Mbps line from your ISP. Now you are thinking that you cannot, browse Toffee app from your mobile. I mean, like without uh, uh, a problem. I mean, the error, like it gets stuck. So now you have subscribed to a newer packet of 10 and 10 Mbps line. Same thing. So you will see the throughput level getting changed as we change the bandwidth. Okay, so some of the things like why it selected 40 megahertz, we actually don't know. By default, it sticks to something as we change the bandwidth. I mean, why it selects that thing, that we actually don't know. Maybe covering the manual thoroughly will give us certain answer. Okay. But,
So my question is like, is the bandwidth given? Is it like the carrier bandwidth or?
it is like the bandwidth of the link we are talking about. The I mean, the link that will be created, the link bandwidth. The here,
Even the link between the two antennas?
yes.
Okay, sir, got it, sir.
Okay, so now what you can do as a task given. Let me share this thing. Then let me stop this share, because as per this, so this is like point to point, but this thing, this tool also covers point to multi-point. Like you can have points scattered this way, point here, point here, point here, and the point here, point here. The multiple link can be established between different points. Okay, so this is like point to multi-point. This tool of Cambium network also covers point to multi-point. Okay, so from here, if it is like the offline map, you have the option to change the longitude, okay, and change the distance. But if it is like you need to put a point here, you also need to change the latitude accordingly, right? If you want to put a point here and establish a link, so it is like all lines. I mean, from the things that we have seen, all the points are on a line, but there is only a change or this of the distance of 1.5 kilometer, right? So let me share this thing, then it will be okay. Stopping the sharing and okay. Yes, this is the one I have an I mean like old version. As I said, this is with our previous subject. The subject naming was radio frequency engineering. Okay, so the step that I mentioned, I mean, these are already here. So actually, I have shown you this thing just to go to the very a few last stages. Like if you see point number 10, it shows that find out the received power for all distances up to 12 kilometer with 1.5 kilometer interval. Okay, so from 1.5 kilometer, you gradually go up to 12 kilometer. Then it asks you to plot received power versus distance. Okay, so from each of the case, you can have your received power, right? You change the distance from 1.5 kilometer, 3 kilometer, then you gradually go up to 12 kilometer. And for each of the case, you have your own power level. You note them down and later you plot the distance versus received power. Okay, so it also tells you to comment on the profile generated. Now, this is about the point to multi-point link. We won't be exploring this thing, but what I try to mean that similar thing, you can create. You can at first create these seven. How many sites? 7 sites. Like say this P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P7. Then in your case, as you click on the link option, there will be like P1 to P7 on the left hand side, P1 to P7 on the right hand side. Then you can establish link. Like there will be like multiple link creation option. You can create link between these different points, and later as you do so, I mean this sort of multiple links will be established, and your profile window will have this similar picture after the link is created. Okay, so that is what we can do, but we are starting that part. I mean, I guess the target of the first part with offline mapping was to make yourself familiar with that approach. That is how the change in the distance, change in the bandwidth, change in the antenna type, and I mean changes certain output parameter like throughput, receive power, and you can also say change in the Fresnel zone. Okay, so I mean by telling all those things, I wrap up my part. I request sir, as sir already did, to fill the gaps in my discussion and cover this online map portion. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me share my screen now. So I'll just create a new project, and this time we'll use the online map. Uh, not sure how I can actually enlarge. Why is it? It's coming up with a very small window, and I cannot increase the window size here. We'll just go somewhere in a downtown area. Okay. So we have in our
Sorry,
house. Yeah.
if you don't mind, can you
Mhm.
please share the screen first and then create the project?
Oh, I haven't.
No, sir.
I thought I did. Sorry, I just started a new project. Okay. Do you see now? You don't?
Not yet, sir.
No,
Really?
sir. Yes.
Oh, it's failing. I don't know why. Actually, I did share, but it failed.
Sir, you can share the entire screen. In that case, it may work. Instead of selecting a tab.
See what is happening. Nafez,
Yes, sir.
Nafez, are you there?
Yes, yes, sir. I'm here.
You have stopped your sharing, right?
Yes, sir.
My sharing is not working. It's repeatedly failing. Not sure. Problem. Looks like I have to quit and then come back here. It's failing repeatedly. Okay. Okay, how to share the entire screen?
Sir, click share screen, and then in the top left corner, you will
And
find the option screen.
Sir, I don't think there is a separate option for sharing entire screen. If you just select the entire thing, I mean, I did not actually face this separate option for entire screen sharing. I don't know whether they exist or not. If you just share, the entire thing will be shared. That is what I have seen earlier.
I mean, the sharing is failing. It gives a message that it has failed sharing. Okay, let us quit this session and then come back. Okay, I mean,
Only
I'll
sir,
just,
if you want
you guys stay. I'll come back.
Yes, sir.
Okay.